Hey guys, it's me again, Mike Taylor. Today we're going to do ramps. So if you checked out the last video, just a quick one on columns, we'll get right into ramps. Probably one of the more difficult tools I would say to use inside of Revit. So let's just get into it. A ramp. So what does a ramp do? It gets us from one level to another. So what I'll do is there's two variations on a theme here. So we'll do one style of ramp that I prefer to do second, but we'll do the kind of standard ramp in Revit, and I wish it was more like the stair tool that Revit has, because I actually think the stairs are pretty useful. The ramp tool I don't find as effective. So a couple things here. What does our ramp need to be? I can delete this for now. A couple rules from our mass timber D&D, and I believe it's from the lecture. So I'm going to see if I can find, where is my lecture? Not this one. It is Mass Timber D&D 916. So a couple kind of high level things here for those of us that did see this in class. That's great. And if you haven't, make sure you capture this. So parking, columns. I know ramps are in here somewhere. Apologies here. So let's just keep it going. Columns. So hopefully by now you've got your columns all set up. The ramps, really, there's only a couple locations that I would suggest doing your ramp, but I do encourage you guys to explore and see what really works with your arrangement. So this one is really a ramp on the west side of the site, right up against the what's for better or worse is the property line, very close to the property line here. And you will notice that in the basement, even though we have no setbacks, it's a pretty rectilinear plan. So for anybody who's struggling with how this is organized, I would suggest following something very similar to what's shown in the parking plan here. Where is my ramp? Apologies, I thought that that's where it was going to be. Ramp. Potentially it is in. Aha! My mistake. Here we go. Ramps without blends. So ramps of 1 to 8 to 1 to 12. That's a pretty steep ramp, but that's cool. So without transitional blends, so that ramp is between a slope of 1 to 8 and 1 to 12. What does that mean? For every one rise, we're going to have 8 runs. So every 1 meter in rise of that ramp, we need 8 meters of run. Conversely, on a longer ramp with a slightly less slope, 12 meters per 1 meter in rise. So okay, what does that mean? If we've got 3 meters, we need either anywhere between a 24 meter and a 36 meter ramp. If we've got 3 meters, we should check what we've got. And then the ramp width should be, here it says 7,700. I've seen a variation on this, but 7,700, sure. So we also need to have a 6,000 millimeter flat area from the property line that ramps at the top. So in my mind, based on our design, we'll have a little 6 meter square kind of at the top. I'm going to keep my ramp on the west side, and let's get started here. So a couple things. Let's do this first. We're going to need a little floor here. So it's up to you how you want to do it. If you want to use a roof tool or the floor. For us, I already got some floors built. So let's just go ahead and we'll make a little floor here. Where is my floor? There it is. Okay, floor architectural. You can draw in 3D. If you'd rather draw in the plan view, that's cool. Just remember you're going to be drawing in grade. So I'll jump to my grade view here. And really, I've already marked where my 6 meter line is, which is coincident to the front of the building. Remember, that's the minimum size. On a project of this size, I would probably suggest using your grid lines as a starting point here. So let's go ahead and try that out. Right now, I've only got a 300 millimeter concrete slab in my floor assembly, and if I jump back to 3D here, we should see where that looks. So looks all right. If I hit check mark here, now we could see we are kind of fully aligned to the top of this wall. Remember, we're using the grade as the top of floor, right? So remember, we got our grade level here set to top of floor. And what we'll do now is probably the most difficult tool, or one of the most difficult tools you guys will have used. It's certainly a little frustrating. So let's see if we can get the ramp tool working. I will walk through some of the kind of problems with it, but let's start with, if we come over here to architecture, ramp, and let's see the things that we need to make this tool work. So You might think, oh, it's just like a stair. All I need is my base level grade. Actually, should be base level basement and my top level grade. So we know that that's what it's supposed to be. Now, the width we know is going to be 7,700 based on our little information from D&D. So that's all cool. And you might be just thinking, okay, easy enough. Can I just jump to a floor plan here? And I know if I'm going top to bottom, or bottom to top, I should say, we're going to need probably, how high are we? How high are we? So first things we might want to do before we do anything here is, I'm going to cancel out of this, discard ramp. Before we do any of this, I might want to know what my elevations are. So let's jump to a section. I got a section here. Go to view. So what is my distance from the grade line to the basement piece here, right? So I've got 3.75. I can't remember if this is correct or not, but I think it's actually 3.75. I think this is correct. So if it's wrong, I apologize. What we need to do is just make sure that the top of our ramp and the bottom of our ramp are set. So top of our ramp is going to be what that grade line is. Bottom of our ramp is going to be that negative 3750. So real quick, I'm going to grab a calculator, and depending on if you want to do your ramp at a slope of 1 to 8, which is a short ramp, or a slope of 1 to 12, which is a longer ramp, 3.75 times 8 gives us 30. Okay, this is right. So 3.78. So that's going to be our total run for the ramp. Remember, rise over 1, we're going to rise 3.75 meters, and our run is going to be 30 meters. So keep that in your mind's eye when we're going to build this little ramp tool here. And what we'll do is we'll jump back to the grade here. Actually, let's go to basement. Excuse me. Let's go to basement, and we will use the ramp tool. Let's grab it in here. Now, you might be just double check that everything is correct. 7,700 width. We want to go basement to grade. That looks good. Now, come in here to the edit type tool. Hit that, and now we've got some additional information. I think 250 is the slab depth. But here we could see that the incline length, 30 meters. I've already set these, so apologies if it's different for you, but 30 meters. And then I've got a slope of 1 to 8. So 1 to 8, you could make this 12. But then if you make it 12, you're going to have to modify that to be, let's just try this real quick, 3.75, which is our overall height, times 12. So that ramp goes to 45 meters. So that's a 50% delta, right? So 50% more length on the ramp. So for us, probably keep it to 8, makes 1 to 8 pretty steep ramp, but that's okay. Let's hit okay here. And now we should be able to draw a line that represents, so 30 meters is roughly 4 bays. You can see here, this is the kind of preview for our ramp. And if I jump to 3D here, let's see what we got. Looks about right. Let's hit that check mark button, and boom. Looking pretty good. So if I jump to my section for a quick second here. Oh, wrong way. Do I have a section coming the other way? I do not. I'm going to make a quick section here so you can see the ramp. I'll flip this. Flip this the other way. Oh, I see. I'll flip it here. It's going to move it over a bit, and we could check out what our ramp is doing. So looks pretty good at the top, looks pretty good at the bottom, and then what we could do is just delete our guards, unless you really want guards, but I don't think we need guards here. This is really just for our cars. I'm going to jump to 3D here. I know I've got that other guard on the other side. Tab select my little guard in here. Now, a couple things you might want to move, or align, I should say. You can align this ramp. Whoops, cancel. Got the wrong face. So align is AL for anybody who likes to use our shortcuts here. You have to align the face. So align the face and then snap to the two surfaces you want to align. Looks pretty good. If I jump back to that section, we should see, It's looking all right. We probably normally would push it all the way to some sort of structural wall in here. So we should probably also have a structural wall along, what's this, grid line B. So why don't we jump to the basement here and let's make a structural wall along grid line B. You can copy it. And I probably want to align one of these faces. So align is AL, remember, whoops, is AL for align. And I will try, why is it not letting me do that? Align to one face. I would probably try and align it to that face. And then what we'll do is we'll actually edit this sketch and change the overall width using the align tool again. I just type AL on my keyboard, thing I want to align to, and then the aligned face. Hit check mark, and now if I jump back up to my 3D, we should have something that looks like this, a nice tidy ramp. You will notice that you probably need to cut a hole in your wall, right? So we can either, depending on how your parking is set up, you can just drag it down. Now we have a little ramp in here. It says up on our floor plan. You might want to annotate something. You might say, okay, I'm going to show, where is my slope, spot slope here? And here we've got 125 over 1,000. Let's see if we can, units. Let's see if we can make this ratio. Nope. Okay, don't do that. So safest way to do this is I would just choose percentage. So a percentage slope. And let's see what we got. So 13, that's a rounding error. So again, let's make sure our rounding is probably to 2. Let's see what we got here. There we go. 12.5%, right? Why isn't it showing my units? I really want to see my 12.5%. Units, edit, arrow, looks good. It says percent. Oh, here we go, percent. Make sure you got that in there. So just as a way to show what the ramp is, I know in some of the precedent examples, you're welcome to kind of encourage that this is in fact a ramp. It's really difficult in Revit to really see that this is a ramp. If we jump to our example here from class, we've got, if I come down here, you can see there's a little bit of extra aesthetic in here that we can get to show that this is in fact a ramp happening. Sadly, Revit doesn't do this automatically. You could do it with a hatch if you wanted to, but we're not quite there yet. So I would encourage you to kind of detail that how you like. Okay, cool. So if I jump to 3D here, this should look the part. Still looks good. Cool. So second thing I'm going to suggest is slightly different. This is round 2, slightly different variation on a theme. How we might build this ramp instead of using the ramp tool. It's totally up to you. You know what? I'll show you why actually before I delete this. There we go. So it's totally up to you why you would build it whichever way, but I'll show you the kind of variations here. So first one, if I jump to kind of head-on view here. This is, remember that you're still in the 3D view if you are going to go about this way. And the challenge is, if you notice in our notes, it says blends. None of the things here have blends. Our top doesn't have a blend and our bottom ramp doesn't have a blend. What we might want to do is get that blend working. And a blend is just a fancy way of saying a kind of radius or a fillet at the top and bottom. And what I'll do now is let's just jump back to a more useful 3D view here. Cool. So architecture, component, and then don't actually hit on component, hit the drop down here, hit model in place. We'll model in place a floor. Hit OK. I'll call it ramp just so nobody gets confused. We've still got the top portion here and the bottom. So this is going to work very similar to how we had our family generation. We're just going to build a little extrusion. And the way that works is we're going to create a shape, right? We need to create a looped shape for our ramp. We're going to kind of start it up here and have it slope down and then blend at the bottom. So we do have a couple key rules that I'm going to start with. That is, we know that we need a 30 meter run for the rise of 3.75 meters, just based on the arithmetic. So we need to make sure we keep that at a minimum, and then what we'll do is work on those blends a little bit. So first thing we're gonna do is grab the extrusion here, and now you're in the extrusion tool. What does that mean? Well, think of it like we're just modeling a little shape inside of Revit. Now, if you remember from the family of columns that we made, we had to set a work plane. Here we don't really have a work plane we can use for this task because I haven't created one. So I'm just going to kind of keep this loose and drop down from set here, hit pick a plane, and you can model on a surface. So imagine that unlike our reference plane, we're now choosing the inside face of our parking lot shear wall here. I click this, and now you can see if I turn it on, it's allowing me to draw on the face of this inside wall. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to create an extrusion of 7,700, not 77,000, for our little ramp. So what do I know? I know that this is 3750. I know that this needs to be 30 meters, right? Pretty long. And we've created our loop. So for me, I'm going to turn off show so this show is a little bit simpler. I'm going to go to hidden line so you guys can see what I'm drawing a little bit easier. Delete those bottom two lines. And now what I'm going to do is create a little bit of a top portion here. So let's give ourselves 1500 at the top. And I'm drawing a kind of flat line, we'll call it. So, you know, this is 90 degrees. Revit tells me it's 90 degrees. I can't point while I'm doing this, but 90 you can see on the right. If I go like this, that means 0. So I'm going to draw 0. Let's give ourselves, 2500 at the bottom. Something like this. I should say that at any time, I can jump to my section view and I can maybe do this a little bit simpler in my section view if you'd rather not do it in 3D. I'm just trying to show you what it looks like in 3D so we can do it all at the same time. Next step is going to be use the fillet arc tool up here. You can kind of set the radius. So it's up to you if you want to set the radius or just kind of pick 2 and choose a little blend here. So you can see here I blended that. 1 line, 2 line, and we're just blending these things together. So now we have 1 line. We need to make a loop. So really the easiest way to do that is to offset. So I'm going to offset our ramp. And if you tab select, you can do it all at the same time. Now, top and bottom. And I should be able to just hit the check mark here. And, you could do it in the section view or in the 3D view. I'm going to hit check mark here. And we should see if I jump to 3D, looks pretty good. Now you're not done yet. I'm actually still inside of the model in place tool. So if you're like, what the heck's going on? This tool does allow us to kind of, modify some things. So you can very quickly edit the shape of our little ramp here. If I want to move the whole thing, I can move it. Whoops. Maybe I move it all the way out. Whoops. It's not letting me snap here. That's okay. But you will notice that it's actually outside of the scope box. That's because we're inside of the model in place tool. If I go ahead and finish this model here, I hit check mark, you can see now that it's cut it. Whoops. I guess the point that I wanted to get across here is that you can model this a couple different ways. So you could see here that right now, I could still use these tags and drag it across to give myself, well, in this case, I've gone too far. But where's my, oh, and I've cut it off. Nice. So you can use the tool here to set how far we want our ramp to extend into our building or, what have you. So I'll turn back on our shaded just so you can see what's going on. You can see I'm actually cut into the wall a touch. So I might want to move that in. Whoops. What have I done? Okay, you might accidentally, because I was doing this in 3D, you might accidentally move something in 3 dimensions. So careful about that. That's on me. But all I wanted to do was make sure that this is, number 1, we want to make this 7,700. And the start should be at 0. If I hit check mark there, should be good to go. And that's it for ramps. So again, if I jump to grade, I should, I don't want to make a mistake here. I should be able to spot slope here, 12.5%. Right? And there should be, oh, right, because the blend is, yeah, we're good. So 12.5%, still the right number for our ramp. Looking good, feeling good. I hope that was helpful. So that's ramps 101. If you do have questions about ramps, feel free to send me a note in the comments. Thanks again, guys. We'll try and do, I think there were some questions about something else. I'll see if I can get to it today. And if not, we'll see you on, when I see you. Thanks, guys. Bye.